morning, I will now begin administering the unreasonably controlled answer negation test, informally known as You Can't. You will have 10 minutes to complete both Part A, the shallow but in-depth psychoanalysis, and Part B, the completely non-biased self-evaluation. There will be no talking, gum chewing, restroom using, nose blowing, or out-of-the-box thinking of any kind. It's important to remember your test will not be graded unless completed with a number 2 pencil. Don't ask me why. Also, keep in mind that how you perform on this single test will determine the rest of your future right up until the day you die. There are no retakes. If you have any questions, please keep them to yourself, because remember, there are no stupid questions. Just stupid people who ask them. Your time starts 30 seconds ago. The SAT, ACT, GQE, GRE, GMAT, TOEFL, they're all standardized tests organized by the ETS to establish a standard of education with little RESP-ECT for individuality. If you ask me, that's a bunch of BS. What if the educational testing services standards don't meet my standards? Why does someone whom I've never even met, sitting at a desk in Princeton, New Jersey, get to decide if I've got what it takes to make it in the world? Somehow I doubt that my bubbled response from a wide variety of 4 choices and my 30-minute pre-formulated essay really says anything about who I am and what I have to offer. It seems to me we have reduced ourselves to a standardized test society where we either bubble in choice A, B, C, or D and allow others to set the standards we're measured by, or we doodle in our test booklets and refuse to rise to the challenge altogether. We need to find the middle ground. We take the test, but take the results at face value. Well, boys and girls, if you haven't already, it's time to take out those number 2 pencils and open up your test booklet to section 1, the multiple choice portion. Everyone and everything has standards. The government, schools, grocery stores, your parents, heck, even the carny holding the meter stick at the line for the tilt-a-whirl has a standard for height requirements. What's important for you to do is to sort through these standards and decide which ones hold any real value. One elusive standard that's been chased after by high school students for decades is the oh-so-unachievable perfect score. The SAT is the mother of all tests. The results affect our chances at college admissions, scholarship opportunities, and our eligibility for collegiate sports. But no worries, perfection, according to the ETS, can be attained. The Gwinnett Herald reports that senior Marissa Pan from Alpharetta High School in Fulton County, Georgia, scored a 2,400 on the test last spring. When asked to share some advice for success, Pan said, "Whatever you do, don't think your life hinges on the SAT. That'll just stress you out." Well, thank you, Marissa Payne. I feel so much better knowing that for her, acing the single most important test of a high schooler's career was just a walk in the park, and not a walk through test taker's hell like it was for everybody else. Now, if Pan meets the standards set by the SAT without error, then in theory that makes her the perfect model for establishing college readiness. Right? But there's more than one person who scored a 2,400 on the SAT, and that establishes multiple models of perfection, and in turn, multiple standards. So how does a test that revolves around questions with only one right answer used as an accurate tool for establishing whether or not someone is ready for college? But the ETS isn't the only guilty party when it comes to setting irresponsible standards. Magazines, TV shows, celebrities, and advertisements all point to a single answer when it comes to the test of beauty: skinny. This concept of using images of rail-thin celebrities and models as motivation for self-starvation and purging is referred to as thin-spiration. And this dangerous technique is on the rise in the pro-anorexia and pro-bulimia online communities. In an August 2007 BBC article on the growing number and accessibility of these pro-anorexia social networking sites, 21-year-old Andrea Schneider, who has been struggling with anorexia since the age of 16, said, "When you're in the middle of this obsession and you don't want to give it up, you cling to these sites that tell you what you're doing is okay." So we as a society have made the comparison impossible to ignore. Now, I notice a few of you seem a little distracted. Got a couple of stick figures and flowers going on in the margins of your textbook list, but, I like that. You're refusing to take the unfair tests, beating the system, sticking it to the man. Consequently, not going to college and darkly future careers. You see, there's a fine line between recognizing the weakness of a test and writing a test off altogether. And the tests I'm talking about aren't limited to a Scantron and a number 2 pencil. Right now, everyone in this room is taking a test. In fact, the exact same one. The test of life. But there's no need to cheat because, well, how can there be a wrong way to live? To breathe in and out and exist? There isn't. But I'm referring to life beyond simply existing. I'm talking about living, making a living, living large, living life to the fullest. Life offers us so many opportunities, yet there are still people who cop out and refuse to take advantage of them. One group of individuals in particular has mastered this art of avoiding the test. You know it's August in the small town of Britt, Iowa, when parades are being planned, floats are being built, and stages are being set, all in preparation for an influx of colorful out-of-towners arriving by foot, bike, and cargo train. It's time for the National Hobo Convention, where people proudly classify themselves as a hobo, tramp, or bum. Seriously. It's an annual 3-day extravaganza packed with activities such as live entertainment, a walk-run, auction, and coronation ceremony. I mean, no one ever told me when I was little. I set my mind to it. Someday, I could be queen of the hobos. I know I probably wouldn't have stayed in high school for very long, but really, high school diploma or fancy straw hats. Now, while this might seem funny to us, what this is saying about some of the people in our society is kind of frightening. These are people subjecting themselves to homelessness, seclusion, and injury just because they refuse to meet the most basic of life's challenges. If you want life's rewards, you have to take life's tests. One of these many challenges is parenthood. Now, I'll admit that I have no experience with being a parent myself, but after watching my mother and father try to tame 5 hooligans for 18 years, I do understand that it is by no means an easy task. And while every once in a while they threaten to pull the car over and leave us all on the side of the road, we know they don't really mean it. Most of the time. Unfortunately for the Stanton kids, their father did. On September 24th, 2008, Gary Stanton of Omaha, Nebraska, drove 8 of his 9 children, ranging from 20 months to 17 years of age, to the Creighton University Medical Center, where he simply left them, effectively relinquishing his parental responsibilities. However, Stanton will not face any legal action for abandoning his children. In July, Nebraska passed a safe haven law, which typically allows for parents to leave newborn children at hospitals or police stations without fear of prosecution. However, since the law came into effect last July, 34 children have been left in Nebraska hospitals. None of them newborns. Where's the responsibility? I don't doubt that parenting is difficult. In fact, I strongly believe it's one of life's greatest challenges. But to just dump 8 of your children at a hospital? It's inexcusable. Stanton refused to take the test, and his children have to erase his mistakes. So it all comes down to finding the middle ground. Somewhere between the extreme of heavily relying on society's standards and the extreme of ignoring society's structure completely, there's a nice comfy desk where you can take your free response test with the number 3 pencil. And, just like any good teacher, I've developed an appropriately hokey acronym for you to remember this little lesson by. Just think TEST. One of the few letter combinations not trademarked by the ETS. Test. T. Take the test, even if you don't think it's a good one. If you want to stick it to the man, do it by performing above a 2400. E. Evaluate the results. You took the test, so you know if the results should be taken with a grain of salt. S. Stay the course. If you want something badly enough, don't let a test result or an unexpected challenge get in your way. T. Take a timeout so you don't get burned out. Too much studying can be harmful rather than helpful. Time's up. Please close your test booklet and leave it lying face down on the desk. Remember, you should, under all circumstances, take these test questions from the room and discuss them with others through any means possible. As you are exiting the testing site, please keep in mind that other students may still be testing and you yourself have many more tests to come. Thank you for upholding our standard of cooperation.